Anyway, let's get down to business. I'm going to pass out a formula for you.
You're going to pass out?
It's going to be a long day, Jeff. Jeff and I have a lot of fun doing this. We only do it to entertain ourselves, and the rest of everything else is peripheral.
We do it on days there's nobody here.
Yeah, we do, and pretend that we're practicing. I'm going to start with a lemon ice. I'm going to make 2 ices today and 1 dairy-free ice cream. At this time of year, people are thinking about gearing up for the summer and all. And Italian ices has become the largest segment of my business. We've always had Italian ice in the north. It's very well known, but it's now moved into the south, and it's now moving into quite a large number of the 171 countries that we sell our machines in around the world. Because, number one, it's inexpensive. And that's great because a wider segment of people can afford it. Oftentimes, an ice cream parlor should be in a neighborhood with a higher income so that people can afford $3, $4, $5 a scoop. Italian ice, I can sell it in a foreign country for 50 cents, and I'm making a 40-cent profit. So you price the product geared towards the market that you're selling it to. So that's really pretty good because it's more profitable than coffee or anything else.
Anything else.
Anything else. And it's really, in the past 13 years since we moved down from New York, and I was kind of sequestered up in New York because, a lot of the ice is mob run, and they don't like secret formulas being given out. But this is my secret formula for a lemon ice. And the reason I use the lemon ice as a starter is because I contend that making ices and a lot of other products is mathematical. If you ask me to bake a birthday cake, I've never baked one, but I'll pick up the joy of cooking and follow the directions. And it's going to say, in order for this to be a birthday cake, it's going to have a certain amount of flour, a certain amount of sugar, and water, and that's going to turn it in, and some vanilla extract, and that's going to turn it into a birthday cake. So if you tell me to make Italian ice, it's going to be a certain sugar and water ratio so that it freezes properly, and then the rest is all just flavor. So if we start with this formula, which is geared for the CB350, 2 pounds of sugar, 3.5 quarts of water, 16 to 24 ounces of lemon juice, and the zest of 3 lemons, you can then take that formula and go on to something else. Like, let's say we're doing orange Italian ice. Lemons are tart. Oranges are sweet. So the oranges are bringing more sugar to the formula. The water content will stay the same. We want a finished batch. The sugar content on the orange juice will actually drop a little bit. I'll put in less cane sugar because I'm getting sweetness from the oranges. But the mathematical ratio is there. So when someone says, and I discourage them, and that's a bad salesman in me, I tell them they want to buy a machine now in February because they're going to open up in June and they want to practice all this time. I said, you don't need to practice. You've got your basic formula, and from there, you're just tweaking it as far as flavor. The sugar and water isn't going to change much, so how far can you go with lemon? Are we going to put in 16 ounces of lemon or 24 ounces? Your formula will fall somewhere in there, and then it'll become your secret formula. So let me get that going. We'll use the CB350, which is, my guys have got it all set up for me. It's all been sanitized, ready to go. Make sure the gate's closed. So I'm going to measure out 3.5 quarts of water. What do we have to measure?
3.5 quarts.
This looks good.
Or you can
the dog bowl.
Use this.
We could use. Okay,
That's good.
That's good. That's a little hard to.
Just go between 3 and 4.
Thank you. There is no 3. Now, while I'm doing this, a lot of people say, do you have to filter the water? Well, the answer to that is yes and no. Here in Central Florida, where we are in Brooksville, we are famous for cows, turkeys, chickens, and armadillos. And that's about it. We don't have tourists. There's nobody coming down from New York to visit sunny Brooksville, except for you folks. So the people who grew up here, and the water is like liquid rock because it's going through all the minerals in the ground and the sand and all. It's really pretty awful. But if you grew up here and you've lived here all your life, you don't know it's awful because you're used to the taste from birth. You've been drinking this water. So if I set up a lemon ice business here in Brooksville, I don't need to filter the water because I don't have tourists. I have just local people who are used to the water. They're not going to notice any difference whatsoever. But this theory that in baking a bagel you need New York water, well, that's absolutely gospel. That's true. But in Italian ice you don't. Now, if my business was down in Naples or if it was over in Miami, now I've got to filter the water. I want to take some of those minerals out of it because everybody in Naples and Miami is a tourist. And they know what the New York, New England water tastes like. And so they want it. They don't want any aftertaste in it. So we don't have to filter the water today, but depending on the location, you might have to. And if you do, it's really not that hard. You get a Culligan water softener, and it takes care of all the problems.
You don't need it.
But really, your flavor is going to take care of everything that you're not going to have to do it.
What do you do with these after I zest them?
You
have
take
a raffle or
them.
something?
You take them home and put them in your vodka tonic, Jeff. Okay, that's my water, and the sugar is going to be
here. 2 pounds. Right?
2 pounds. Okay.
A 2 pound bag is still 2 pounds.
Yes.
A 5 pound bag is 4 pounds.
A 5 pound bag is 4 pounds. Yeah. So did you know that when you go to the supermarket? Do we have one here? It was here, but it looks like a 5 pound bag, but now it's 4
right
pounds.
there on the scale.
Yeah. Doesn't that look like a 5 pound bag of sugar? That's 4 pounds. They've dropped it down by a whole pound. It's kind of like your
mic
coffee.
on? There's no reaction. Is your mic working?
That's okay. They're still asleep. We'll wake them up later. Okay, so we've got the sugar and the water, and I'm going to find something to stir it with. Sugar dissolves very nicely in cold water. You don't have to use hot water. You don't have to go to any special efforts. All right, we'll use this.
Oh, that's what I need. I'm killing myself with this little thing here.
That one cost me a fortune. That's a fancy one.
It's terrible.
That's a special millennial zester.
That's the one you need.
Now the best one's the tower.
The best is pre-bought.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Okay. Okay, so there's our sugar and water. And we're going to pour this in.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Now, before you came, I was actually cutting lemons and using a juicer, just a simple $30 Hamilton Beach juicer to squeeze the lemons. Now, if there's this little river of sugar coming down, I'm not worried about it because I'm using a whole 2 pounds. So an ounce here, an ounce there isn't going to make any difference at all. Now, it calls for 16 to 24 ounces. I've got 24 here, so I'm going to start with 16 and then taste it. When we make ice cream, a lot of us believe, not Jeff, that the flavor enhances over a 24-hour period, that the flavor gets stronger. Jeff doesn't buy that, but that's okay. But Italian ice, what you taste is what you get. So whatever this liquid is, you can take a taste of it and say, yeah, that's perfect. So before you run it, you can adjust the formula.
So why do you think it works with ices and it's different with ice cream?
Because the dairy product blooms. The flavors bloom in the dairy. Everybody,
You mean when you go to the fridge on Tuesday and you have a glass of milk, Wednesday the milk tastes better?
we're not adding anything to the milk.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Jeff, but people like Haagen-Dazs and Ben & Jerry and all those disagree with you. So I'm just going to let that mix for a second. Are you familiar with these? This is the way we eat ice in New York. That's called we call it a squeeze cup. And that's a 3.5 ounce cup. And so when we put a portion in there, it's crowning over, and we're actually eating it from the bottom and squeezing it up and then throwing it on the ground. If you go to, well, I'm from New York. I was on the Cross Bronx yesterday, or 2 days ago, and there is this huge dent in the Jersey barricade. That dent was there 25 years ago. It's all bent in. They still haven't fixed it. If you go to buy this and you ask for a squeeze cup anywhere north of 125th Street in Manhattan, they're not going to know what you're talking about. This technically is called a pleated water cup.
Pleated.
Pleated, like a lady's dress, and like you find at a water cooler where you go over and you pull down and get some water. The only people I know that makes these is Solo, S-O-L-O. So I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to take a little taste.
You're not really writing that down, are you? Solo?
No.
I hope you are,
We did.
because you're going to call me later and ask.
The zesting is complete.
Okay. I'm going to let you give it a try, Jeff, because I can add some more sugar or water. I think a little more lemon. Give me 1 sec. There you go.
Is it mixed up in there?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Nothing more? A little
A
more lemon?
little more lemon wouldn't hurt.
I got more lemon.
You can't over-lemon it.
Oh, okay. Yes, you can. But all right, so let's put half of that again in.
It probably
Now that's all
needs-
fresh squeezed. You
Probably
can,
needs some zest.
it's coming up. You can buy. You can make different. Let me just start this up. I'm going to hit Italian ice and start. That gets me to the speed I want on the infinite overrun. Turn on the refrigeration, and we're off. This product is going to come out pure white. There's no chemicals in it. There's no additives. Even the lemons happen to be organic, just because I couldn't get anything else. And it's going to be a beautiful product, but to make it even more enhanced, and it really doesn't do anything for the flavor, I'd like to have some little specks of lemon in there. So pure white field with a little bit of lemon in there. It's going to look really neat. So Jeff added the specks for me, made them. And that's all there is to that. That's how simple that is. Now, there's different ways to make this. This is the most expensive way to make this. This probably cost me 2 cents an ounce. So this 4-ounce portion cost me 8 cents, and I'm going to sell it for $2. That's a minimum $2. That's one heck of a profit. I can cut the cost down to, instead of 8 cents, I can cut it down to about 6 cents by using an extract, a base. I'll show you. A base is a gallon jug of flavor. So that's a gallon jug of base, and I could use this instead of using fresh squeezed lemon juice and cut the cost down by a little bit. Again, you're going from 8 cents to 6 cents on a $2 item. Who's going to notice? But couldn't believe how cheap people can get. If I want to make something to sell at Shea Stadium, that's the Mets, instead of the Yankees, because I wouldn't sell cheap stuff at the Yankees. I can cut this down to about 1.50 cents by just using an extract. You buy extracts when you make a vanilla birthday cake. You can buy a lemon extract, and that will cut the cost even further. But why bother? I mean, if it costs you a penny to make it as opposed to 4 cents, and you're getting $2, it's trivial. The penny ice is going to get me customers. The 2 cents an ounce price is going to get me people lined up around the block. So go for the good stuff. And then, of course, all the great buzzwords. All natural, sodium-free, cholesterol-free. There's no chemicals. There's no fake colors.
No lactose.
Nothing. Nothing in there at all. Just pure profit.
Where are those? Where are those? Is that all we have?
That's all I got.
Really?
We're not going to serve it to them in that.
Okay.
We're going to use cups. Any questions so far? There's variations of Italian ice. In New York, we call it Italian ice. You go down the Jersey Turnpike to Philadelphia, and you'll hear it called water ice. It's the same thing, except we call it Italian ice, they call it Italian water ice. I don't know why. It's just the way they do. In a real Italian neighborhood, Bay 8th Street in Brooklyn, where everybody speaks Italian, they call it granita or granite. The Italians will call it sorbetto, the French will call it sorbet. The only difference between sorbetto, and Italian ice is I'm getting $2 for an Italian ice and I'm getting $6 for a sorbet.
What do the Polish people call it?
They don't have a special name.
No.
Who's that? You can answer it. We'll wait. Tell them we said hi. There is no difference, no matter what anybody tells you, because the Italians will hem and haw and they'll go, "Oh well, it's made by secret and baloney. It's sugar, water, and lemon juice." And then some people say, "Well, your ice is good, but I'd like it smoother, or I'd like it more coarse, like a granita." What controls that is not the machine; it's the amount of sugar in the product. If I add another half pound of sugar to this, it's going to be a Philadelphia water ice because they like it smoother than New York does. If I take the New York formula here and remove a half a pound, now it's a granita or a granite. It's a crunchy ice. So the texture of the product is strictly determined by the sugar and not anything else in it. So it's really very simple.
And don't think that because you're in Philadelphia, you have to make the same product that Rita's puts out or Little Jimmy's puts out. Make what you think is good in Italian ice. If you want that smoother, creamier Italian ice, people say, "Wow, theirs is different. I like theirs better." So
we want to be better than anybody else. Little Jimmy's, that's mine. Rita's is mine. You can buy those ices, and just to give you an idea of cost, if you buy Little Jimmy's down here in Florida, by time you pay for the $1,000 order, and you have to go out and buy a bunch of these white freezers to put it in, maybe 6 or 7 of them to hold $1,000 worth of product. You have to ship it down from New York, New Jersey, where Little Jimmy's is. And they're using just an extract. They're also maybe using corn syrup, I don't know.
not to mention stabilizers.
And a lot of stabilizers to hold it together. So there's nothing wrong with it, but by comparison to what I'm making, it's a cheap ice. But it actually costs about $70 a tub when you do all the math on it. And what kills them is they're not gouging you $70. They're not at all. They're very good, fair people. But you're paying a lot of shipping cost. And what happens when you ship the ice is, let's say you've got in a 2.5 or 3 gallon tub like this. And you made the ice, you freeze it down to where you couldn't scoop it with a hammer and chisel. It's so hard. That's the way to maintain it and to store it. You put it on the truck. It's a refrigerated truck, a reefer, and he's also got green beans in there, frozen green beans, and DiGiorno pizzas frozen. Well, he's driving down the Jersey Turnpike, and that refrigeration unit is really burning up the diesel. So he says, "What the heck? I'll turn it off for 2 or 3 hours. What's going to matter?" Really, you would think it wouldn't matter. If the green beans melt a little bit, they'll rethaw. Who's going to know? If the DiGiorno pizza melts a little bit and refreezes, no one will care. But the ices, the flavor and the sugar starts bleeding to the bottom of the can. So when you talk to people who sell commercial ice, a Via Veneto or a Rosati or Little Jimmy, they always talk about how there's this thick goo down at the bottom. And that's your flavor bleeding out of the can. So you're paying good money for that. So it's so much easier just to make your own with this machine, because now you control the inventory. I only need 2 tubs of avocado Italian ice because nobody likes it, or I need 7 tubs of lemon because we're having the Feast of San Gennaro. All sorts of different reasons. How do we look? Let's see.
You're good.
We're getting good. If I set a timer on this machine would be about 14 minutes to make this product. I'm going to eyeball it, and what you should not be doing when making any of your products is you shouldn't be standing here and talking in front of a crowd, because you'll get so wrapped up in hearing your own voice that you'll forget to check on your product. Normally what I do is I don't put gadgets on my machine, because They have to meet National Sanitation Foundation and Underwriters Laboratories. So that $6 timer would cost about $250. If that $6 timer goes down, it's going to take down the whole, $10,000 machine, and you have to wait for a repairman. If I just buy a $6 timer and it's going to be 14 minutes, I set it for, say, 11 minutes. And then when the bell goes off, I'm over here getting the flavors ready. Oh, the bell went off. It's time for me to go check and see how it's doing. I watch my wife Paula bake a cake, and she sets the oven for 23 minutes. And then when the bell goes off, she doesn't just go over and pull the cake out. She takes a fork and sticks it in to see if it's ready. And then she says, oh, it needs another 2 minutes, or it's ready. But every product has a different freezing time based on the sugar content. The higher the sugar content, the longer the freezing time. How are we doing we got spoons? Oh, you got it all set up. Great. We're coming along good. So I wanted to get into also, there's different types of ices. You can make a cream ice, which is sugar water flavor, but we also add a little bit of dairy to it. That's a cream ice. You can make something we're going to make later called dairy-free ice cream, which is actually an Italian ice but made with coconut milk instead of tap water. You can do frozen lemonade like we do at Universal Studios, Disney, Six Flags, SeaWorld. It's a 16-ounce cup of this exact formula, but pulled out softer, and we put it in a big cup with a spoon and hand it to people. What do you think?
Oh, you got to go.
Okay. So there's different names, different products that you can do with it. I had 6 Greek brothers open up in Birmingham, Alabama, and they sold Greek ices. And they were from New York. I said, why'd you call it Greek ices? He said, because we're not Italian. Well, that's as good a reason as any. In Hawaii, it's called Hawaiian ice. You can literally call it anything that you want. But the more machines we put out there, we've got over 37,000 running in the world. The more we get out there, the more it's known as Italian ice. When I first came down to Florida in 1969 as a student, I was trying to put Italian ice into pizza parlors, and they'd look at me and they'd say, well, what's an Italian? Let alone what's Italian ice? So it was an uphill battle, but that's all changed quite a lot. But you can see that's going to be a nice pure white product. You like it? Okay. You can pull this out at any thickness that you want. If you've just run out, run it a little longer in the freezer so you can take it out and scoop it. I like to do it so that I'm going to pull it out, put it in the freezer, and go on to the next batch right away. So I'm going to turn off, I have to get where you are, Jeff. I'm going to turn off the refrigeration and open her up. What's the matter? Oh, okay. Let's put that one down. I'll take that and I'll put this into it. That works. Ready?
Oh, go ahead.
Ready? Just put it down.
Why'd you do that?
Problem solved.
Oh,
it was leaking.
Okay.
It was leaking here.
Don't worry about the floor. Someone was bound
I'm not
to
worried
get it.
about the floor. And that's it. That's our lemon ice. Just that simple. So come on up and try it. Tell me what you think. Or don't tell me what you think. I think it's great. I'm gonna do this for you.
Yeah, of course.
We can't have 100 hands in it.
Mike said something
There you go.
disparaging about you. I defended you.
I wouldn't. You know I wouldn't.
There you go.
I'll take it for 2.
That's what they all say. She's just taking it back to her seat and hiding it. Now from here, I can go on to a darker flavor. I could go to, say, orange ice, because there's so little left in the machine, and they're so similar that the orange will cover over the lemon. And then I could go to raspberry, and then I could go to blueberry. So I don't have to rinse out the machine between every batch.
Thank you.
There you go, right there.
Thank you.
That's going to do it. We're done. Okay. That was easy.
That was easy.
So what do you think?
Delicious, just like a little ice.
Very refreshing.
Just like I remember it. Okay. Now, I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it in the freezer, take it down to 0, and it's going to be rock solid, and I could leave it in there for a month with no trouble whatsoever. Nothing's going to bleed out. Tomorrow, I'm going to look at the weather and say it's going to be a beautiful sunny day. I'm going to need 4 of those. I'm going to take them out of there, and I'm going to move them to, where'd my cabinet go? My cabinet disappeared. To a small serving cabinet set at 16 degrees Fahrenheit, warmer than ice cream. My contention is, if you go to an ice cream parlor and you see Italian ice and ice cream in the same cabinet at 6 degrees, run away, because that means there's a lot of chemicals in the Italian ice to be able to scoop it down at 6. It's worth the money to have a separate cabinet just at 6 degrees. It's also a seasonal product. It's in the north, it's May to Columbus Day. Down here in Florida, we can sell it year-round because the tourists come down and they'll buy anything. You know, it's the dead of winter, and they're swimming in the ocean and drinking margaritas at 11 a.m. And because you're on vacation, you want to do summer stuff, so you eat summer foods. No Floridian drinks a margarita in the wintertime. So the holding temperature is 0 or colder. The serving temperature is plus 16 degrees, and that's all there is to it. It's just that simple to make a spectacular product. Now, a month from now, or a couple months, when you open, and someone comes up to you and says, "Oh, this is fantastic," you're not going to say that you got the recipe from some Presbyterian from the Bronx, New York. You're going to say, "Oh, no, my great-great-grandfather from Genoa, Italy, brought this secret recipe over, and we can't tell you what it is. You'll never be able to copy it." Well, just go to EmeryThompson.com and watch the video. With that note, I'll leave it to you.